I want to repeat a lesson really quick for the avoidance in the room. Boundaries and barriers are two different things. Boundaries leave space for a relationship to progress, whereas barriers halt the relationship or push people away. I'll give you some real life examples, but first I want us to think about just a lane at a bowling alley, right? Bumpers. That's boundaries. It guides the ball down the lane without going into the gutter. You're still heading towards your goal in the relationship. You're making progress to that point. A barrier is going to halt the ball somewhere along the lane. Maybe you put it halfway down the lane. The ball can't go any further than that. That's a barrier. So how does this show up in real life? Let's say you and your partner get into a bit of a tiff. You start to shut down. You're feeling overwhelmed. That's okay. Totally normal. Your partner leans more preoccupied, so they're a little eager to get to the repair portion. They want to reconnect, but you need a minute. Communicating a barrier sounds like, I told you I need space. That's my boundary. I need for you to leave me alone. You might be meaning to communicate a boundary, but what you're actually communicating is a barrier. Communicating a boundary sounds like, look, I want to reconnect and repair too, but first I need to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to myself because I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. That's a boundary, okay? We're still headed towards our goal. The goal is still part of the conversation. We're not just putting this block up and telling you to stay on the other side of it. Does that make sense? Let's say you and your partner are talking about moving in together. You don't feel ready yet. They're ready whenever you are. They've been patient, but they're starting to ask questions like, hey, is this going to progress? Is this going to go anywhere? But you're still not feeling ready after a couple of months. Communicating a barrier sounds like, I told you I'm not ready. I'll let you know when I'm ready. That's my boundary. I need for you to leave me alone. You might be meaning to communicate a boundary, but you're actually communicating a barrier because you're not leaving any room for the relationship to progress. Communicating a boundary might sound something like, look, I don't feel ready to make that decision yet, but why don't we practice living together first and do like maybe a trial run or two and see how we feel after that, and then we can talk about it. I'm not ready to move in with you yet, but I do want the relationship to progress. I'm still on board with that, and so why don't we try this? Now, to be clear, avoidants have a tendency to not be super attuned or in touch with how we're really feeling. And so while it can be true that we're communicating barriers when we mean to communicate boundaries, it can also be true that we're communicating barriers because that's exactly what we mean and we don't realize that that's true. So if for the last example, you thought to yourself, no, I really don't want to move in with this person. I don't even want to do a trial. I don't want to move forward. I simply do not feel ready. It's okay to own that. But it's also okay to call that what it is, which is a barrier, not a boundary. Maybe it's time to get curious about whether you actually want to move forward in that relationship or not. And if the truth is that you don't want to move forward in that relationship, then that barrier's there for a reason. Barriers aren't bad. We need to honor those too. The work in that case is to be honest about them.